All right, now to this developing story out of California. The attorney general there patting himself on the back after announcing a $267 million state hospice fraud bust. But Rob Bonta himself acknowledged that only 5 of the 21 suspects facing charges have been arrested so far. And yet he still managed to criticize the Trump administration for its federal crackdown.
Well, healthcare fraud might be President Trump's shiny new political talking point. California DOJ has been going after healthcare fraud since 1979. For decades. Trump is late to the party.
Wow. All right. Well, now who's political? Let's bring in House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. What was your thought when you heard that? Welcome.
Well, my first thought was the California Attorney General is a few days late and about $1 billion short. I mean, where has he been? If President Trump and the House Oversight Committee weren't focused on the fraud in California, he would be talking about something totally different. So this is a huge problem. California is a breeding ground for healthcare fraud. I'm glad that it's on the national radar now. Of course, the Attorney General is going to look like he's doing something just like Keith Ellison came on the scene after we rolled into Minnesota. But at the end of the day, I think that the message is sent. This administration and with the new fraud task force led by Vice President Vance, we're going to try to prosecute people that have defrauded the taxpayers.
Okay, so here's more from Bonta claiming these fraud investigations are, as he just stated, politically motivated.
There's fraud in Texas. There's fraud in Florida. There's fraud in Ohio. It is unfortunate that there are those in this federal administration who can only see things through a political lens and want to politically weaponize, and they love to go after the 4th largest economy in the world.
So what's really going on here? I mean, both at the federal and the state level, they have identified a lot of money being stolen from the taxpayers, yet they only have a few suspects from all this?
Well, I'm glad that Democrats are finally acknowledging that there's fraud with our tax dollars. We've been screaming about this for years in Washington. The Republicans have tried to make cuts. We've tried to hold states accountable for not having guardrails on the federal dollars that we send to those states. And finally, now it's the focus of these attorneys general just because the national media has rolled in. He's right. There's fraud in all 50 states. I can tell you with firsthand knowledge, there's fraud in Kentucky. We're trying to do everything we can to eliminate waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement in the federal government. But when you talk about Minnesota and California, those states are special. I mean, there is an excessive amount of fraud in those states. The governors of both Minnesota and California have known about it, as have the attorney general, but nobody's done anything about it until now, and we're going to continue pushing in Congress. I know that Vice President Vance is focused on this, and hopefully we can hold some of these people accountable and get the backs of the American taxpayers.
All right, well, we will see where you get with that. I want to finish off as the chairman of the House Oversight Committee asking you about that big announcement from Melania Trump yesterday, calling for congressional hearings for survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. Here is some of what we heard from the First Lady yesterday.
Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth.
So will there be hearings?
Yeah, I've always planned on having hearings with the victims. My attorneys on the Oversight Committee have been communicating on a constant basis for months with the attorneys representing Epstein victims. There are some victims who are willing to come in. Most victims aren't, and I completely understand that. But we have always planned on having a hearing with Epstein victims once the depositions have been completed. So we've still got some more high-profile men that are coming in. Then I agree with the First Lady and appreciate what she said. We will have hearings.
Chairman Comer, I appreciate you joining us, sir. Thank you very much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.